Hello, I'm Dr. Asif from Division of Genetics and Plant Breeding, Sher Kashmir University of Agriculture, Science and Technology of Kashmir. Today I want to discuss about some of the diseases in case of rice. The disease in case of rice crop is a serious production constraint. At least 15 major diseases affect the crop worldwide, wherein the rice blast and brown spot, they together account for more than 70% yield loss, particularly in under temperate conditions. Today we will discuss about these two diseases because they are often confused for their symptoms in the field conditions. This topic purely is aimed for growers, for field workers, field functionaries, and other stakeholders so that more clarity is gained on disease identification in a standing crop like rice. If we move to the next slide, if we draw a quick overview between the two diseases, rice blast and rice brown spot, the two have the similarity that they are both caused by the fungal pathogen, and rice blast caused by Magnaphorthoraceae, brown spot caused by Helminthosporum oryzae. As far as the symptoms are concerned, the parts of the plant which are affected in case of rice blast are leaf. It appears on the leaf. It appears on the panicle base, panicle neck, what we call neck blast. It can appear on the rachis, the axis of the panicle wherein the grains actually are born, and it may appear on the nodes of the stem. And all these three forms of the disease can simultaneously appear in the field. Compared to that, in brown spot, it first appears on the leaves as small spots, brown spots, and in advancement of the disease, it can appear on the rice grain itself. That means it can appear on the husk, it can appear on the lemma. Compared to that, rice blast will not appear on the rice husk. This is the major distinction on the symptomology of the disease itself. That the rice blast, unlike rice brown spot, do not show any symptoms where the lesions or dots or symptoms appear on the rice husk. It remains restricted to panicle base, the rice blast, and may appear on rachis, but in case of brown spot, it appears on the husk or grain on the advancement of the disease. Now, the more detailed differences between the rice blast and rice brown spot, as far as the leaf symptoms are concerned, you can see on the left hand side, if we look at the leaf blade picture here, this is a completely healthy plant leaf. When the blast symptoms start appearing, it will appear minute, small, tiny, pinhead size symptoms, and we score them as disease score of 1. And at this point of time, just leaf blast spore has actually germinated, start developing on the leaf surface, and sooner it may transform itself into a small spot, what we call brown in color, dark brown, and we score it as a disease score of 2. Score of 0, which is completely free. 1 is a pinhead like structure, small pinhead like spot, tiny one, and then a second score 2 is a brown colored spot, deep brown. And then when it enters a score of 3, at this stage is the first time actually a blast, what is called spot, it starts opening up. It starts opening up itself into a greenish center surrounded by a brown margin. This particular lesion here is completely oval, maybe 2 millimeters in diameter in initial case, and then may extend to 3 or 4 millimeter in diameter. But sooner, after a week's time, this particular spot which is opened up with a greenish center will elongate into a boat or eye-shaped lesion, complete lesion, which is a typical symptom of rice blast. So when the symptom is reached, our disease is already in the stage 4, and the margin happens to be a brown and the center is greenish. Within 1 or 2 or 3 days it remains as greenish, very short-lived stage, and sooner the symptom, the 4 grade score, it will change into a margin which is dark brown, and the center changes from or transforms from the greenish to grayish center. You can see here. Now on that stage of 4, the individual lesions are eye-shaped. There may be 5-10 lesions on the surface of the leaf under heavy infestation, and even if there are 3 or 4 lesions on the leaf, the tendency for these lesions is always to get merged with one another. They will always tend to coalesce, they will tend to fuse longitudinally, as you can see here on the top of this leaf blade. They will start fusing, or they can fuse laterally with one another, causing a bigger lesion, relatively a bigger lesion, which is enough that 3 or 4 such lesions or 5 lesions, if they coalesce, they merge, they will completely surround, completely cover half to 3/4 of the leaf surface, so that the leaf at the score of 4, it tends to be completely blighted with the merging of 4 or 5 such lesions. And still you can see the dots, the spots, they are largely visible, even though they are embedded in a blighted background, but the individual spots can be visualized, and that is because of the lesions which have merged or coalesced with each other. Now this is a typical phenology or symptomology of the rice leaf blast. Compared to that, when we look at the rice brown spot, in case of rice brown spot, there may be large number of spots which appear on the leaf surface. Compared to leaf blast, in case of brown spot, we may find even 40 to 50 brown spots appearing on the leaf, but none of the cases will you see the spots, individual spots, they merge with each other. They don't merge in case of brown spot, while however they show the immediate coalescing or merging in case of leaf blast. That is a major distinction between rice leaf blast and rice brown spot leaf symptoms. In case of brown spot, you will find large number of brown spots. They are 3 to 4 mm. They are oval in shaped. They don't assume the typical boat-shaped or eye-shaped elongated lesion like rice blast. They in no case will be coalescing with each other. They will never coalesce with each other. That's a typical of brown spot. Brown spot, if we magnify it, the individual lesion would be brown with dark brown margin, again a light brown center, which is compared to leaf blast where the margin will be dark brown, the center will be greenish to grayish. So that is a major distinction between brown spot and leaf spot caused by the rice blast. And the brown spot will be 3 to 4 mm. It will be oval. It will have a halo, that is a yellow, dark yellow halo or margin or tissue surrounding the entire spot, and such many spots will remain separated throughout the life cycle of the plant. They will never merge, and that is actually the major distinction between the advanced stage disease when we compare rice blast with rice brown spot. So in case of rice blast, 2 or 3 or 4 lesions are sufficient to cause the blighted appearance of the leaf. But in case of rice brown spot, the blighted appearance will never appear. Leaf will not appear blighted. Rather, it will be heavily infested with very dense population of spots surrounding the leaf surface. So lesions will remain always separated, always throughout the life cycle of the plant as long as the disease is there. So this is the major distinction between the leaf symptoms of rice blast and rice brown spot. Now if we move a page, we can see again that rice blast versus rice brown spot. When it comes to the floral axis, when it comes to the panicle, rice blast that infests the base of the panicle. On the base of the panicle, there is a 1 or 2 centimeter column which appears as a necrotic column or lesion. You can see here that a necrotic lesion covers 1 or 2 centimeters of the base of the panicle, eventually causing the rotten neck, and which causes the neck or panicle to break. And in certain cases, it may not break, it may remain upright, the panicle may remain upright, but it may stop the photosynthate coming onto the panicle so that there is no grain filling, and eventually the formation of the chaffy grains. That is the symptom of the neck blast, progression of the rice blast, and turning from leaf blast to neck blast at the time of reproductive stage of the crop is arrived. The appearance of the panicle blast or neck blast will appear. On more advancement of the stage, the symptom may appear on the ridges of the panicle. The ridges is a axis which actually harbors or bears the spikelets or grains, and it may appear on the ridges as well, causing the broken panicle within as well as on the base. So this is the symptom of rice blast. Now in case of rice brown spot, you will find the spots which appeared on the leaf previously will also start appearing on the lemma pellia, or what's called the husk. They will also start appearing on the husk. And rice blast in no case will appear on the husk. Howsoever serious the condition in case of rice blast, it may cause neck blast, but it will never appear on the husk. The symptoms in case of rice brown spot will cause grain discoloration. The symptoms may appear on the husk. They may appear on the lemma pellia, grain, and to the extent that if the disease progresses, it also actually infects the kernel, the milled, the rice inside. If we do the dehusking, you will find the grains after milling which will be completely infested, black in color, which will be heavily infested with rice brown spot because of the grain discoloration it causes. So this is a distinction again at the reproductive stage between the rice blast and rice brown spot. Now if we look at the field view of the rice blast and rice brown leaf spot. In case of rice blast, if we look at the whole field, it may appear under the serious infestation. There would be a large patch within the plot, within the bigger plot, where the plants you will see the plants collapsing or dying because of rice blast, and so that they form a patch or circle-like structure, circle-like pattern within the plant. And where the individual plants would seem to be blighted, or where the dots have actually coalesced, and leaf will start to give a blighted appearance at distance. But in case of rice brown leaf spot, the blighted appearance will never appear. It will show, heavy infestation will show all the plants uniformly infested with very dense dots, and that is actually the symptom how we can at distance distinguish between rice blast and brown leaf spot. One more important phenomena which I want to bring here, that rice blast is a disease which actually is favored under high fertility conditions. That means if your NPK is optimum or overdose of NPK, it will attract rice blast. Compared to that, in case of brown spot will usually appear in those fields which are devoid, where the fertility is low, which are devoid of nutrition, particularly N, nitrogen, and the nitrogen starved condition, it initiates or triggers or favors, encourages brown leaf spot. So two are different. Rice blast is favored by high fertility, brown leaf spot is favored by low fertility. Brown leaf spot is even more favored, low fertility plus if there is a lack of moisture, there's a moisture stress in field drought conditions. And also brown leaf spot will appear on the varieties which are comparably late in maturity. So brown leaf spot, if you see any variety which is late in maturity and still it's standing in the field, and when the temperatures drastically drop down, particularly in Kashmir conditions, the brown leaf spot on the green leaf, it starts heavily appearing on the leaf surface. While as rice blast, it's favored more in the comparably warm conditions, humid conditions, as contrary to brown leaf spot. Again, if we consider this picture, brown leaf spot again is uniformly infested plants, which where the spots are uniformly actually distributed on the leaf surface. None of the spots have coalesced together to cause a burnt appearance, but in rice blast again there would be a caused in a field, we would look like as a burnt patch of the plants, causing the burnt appearance of the corner of the plot. And with the advancement of the infestation, the plants would turn from gray to black, grayish black. They will not turn straw colored on the advancement. They would turn grayish black. Remember it. In other diseases, they turn straw colored. In rice blast, they tend to go from gray to grayish black, and that is the major distinction between rice blast and other diseases. Often some of the other diseases may appear while there is infestation of leaf blast, rice blast, or brown spot. And some of the diseases like sheath blight, they initially may be confused, but there is a distinct pattern that they appear on the sheath rather they appear on the leaf blade, and they cause a pattern. They cause a pattern with the you can see the rectangular, more or less polygonal patch which appear on the sheath with a straw colored center and a thin margin, and appear and remain restricted more or less towards the leaf sheath rather than any other part, and later may also affect the grain. Some of the treatments which were suggested to control of rice blast, control of brown spot, which also causes the grain discoloration, as I said, and the sheath blight, there are a number of chemicals, which is not the topic today here, but this is the introduction about some of the known chemicals for suggested for the treatment of the disease. And with this, I hope you liked this video, and this has given you some clarity on the distinction between rice blast and leaf blast. Thank you so much.